It all began with a message and a sudden thought. No plans, no expectation, just an impulse that led us to one of the most breathtaking places, Nethravathi Peak. The trip was around 340 kilometers from Bangalore. The booking was very simple through Aranya Vihara portal. 3 slots can be booked with one ID and pay 500 per head to book the slots. There are many homestays available near Nethravathi Peak. We had a plan to crash out at our friend's home that is in Chandrapatna. We started the ride from Bangalore at 7 pm and reached Chandrapatna at 10 pm with 3 pit stops and a dinner break. We began the ride at 3 am from Chandrapatna through Hassan, Belur, Mudigere and Kalasa. The roads between Hassan and Belur were good, but the roads between Belur and Mudigere were magical. We reached a cafe called Gumminkad Cafe, which is 12 kilometers away from Kalasa. This place was straight out of a fantasy film. The view from the cafe was so good that I forgot about the Nethravathi Peak. The cloud beds, beautiful mountains and sunrays. I almost got into trouble trying to climb higher for a better view, but destiny had different plans. It was the opening time. At the opening time, we stood there watching the hills wake up, hands wrapped around a warm cup of tea. It was worth every second. We continued our ride and I started recording a few clips for my memories. The roads were actually worn out, but views made us forget everything else. A 12-kilometer stretch from Kalasa became an unexpected adventure. So 3 of our bikes were almost out of fuel, but somehow between the mist, coffee estate and tea gardens, we made our ways through. After fueling up, we started the ride towards Samse. We reached the point where normal people hire a jeep to reach the checkpost, but we decided to go on our own. We looked at each other and said, "What's the worst that could happen?" Which is usually the sentence before every dumb decision in history. Same what we did. Barely 2 kilometers in, there was another checkpost. They stopped us and said to hire a jeep, warning that the off-road trail was tough, especially with a pillion. The trail was not tire-friendly, back-friendly or heart-friendly. But our intrusive thought said, "Bro, let's try. How hard can it be?" I can hear that from my manager's voice. Had to pay 200 per bike to drive through. It was my first off-road ride on my Java 42. That's the bike with low ground clearance. The trail was intense, loose rocks, steep climbs, jeeps coming downhill like they were in Fast and Furious. Somehow we drove through the road. It was the first experience not just for me but for the others as well. After reaching halfway, something had to happen, right? So one of our bikes decided to take a nap. It just slipped and fell. Luckily, no one was hurt. Yes, it was an Himalayan. Somehow, we made it stand up and started the ride back up. After finishing 70% of the trail, Mito said, "Enough, I'm done." The clutch plates overheated and bike went into retirement mode. We parked it here peacefully so that it can rest for the rest of the ride. Others started walking and we started riding the bike uphill and parked where the jeeps usually park. We started a trek for around 300 meters to reach the checkpoint. We hired a guide for 1,000 and registered our names with the card. So there was a man renting out sticks for 20 rupees. Probably the best investment of the entire trip. We took a group picture and started the trek. Stepped into the forest with narrow trails, stunning views, hills opening like nature's cinematic rhythm. We stopped to take breath, take pictures, and after some time we reached a fresh, ice-cold, untouched waterfall and drank natural water like mineral water. With music in the background, we walked onward, crossed a beautiful stream. Entered a deep forest and reached the Nethravathi river. Post which the real trek began. Steep climbs, legs shaking, lungs screaming. We were out of breath within 5 minutes. Who said trekking is relaxing? Damn, the light, bro.
அண்ணே கொந்தளிச்சாதீங்க அண்ணே, பொறுமையா கடப்பிடிங்க. அறியாப்புல தெரியாம கரெக்டா.
3 small peaks stood between us and the summit. With every 20 steps, we took a break because survival is important. The sun was brutal, but just before the final hill, mist rolled in, covering everything. It was magical and we suddenly forgot our legs were dying. We pushed through and finally reached the summit. We placed the phone on time lapse. It was shaking more than we were and captured the moment. We sat there, ate our lunch above the clouds and felt like kings. We spent time talking, laughing and questioning our life's choices. It was the best experience so far. We then started our descent, reached the river again and dipped our legs in ice-cold water, which felt like therapy. We filled our bottles and continued down to the base. Phones were about to die, so no more videos, but maybe that's good. Some moments deserve to be lived, not recorded. If you ever plan this trek, do it in the monsoon or winter. Trust me, the misty magic is worth every struggle. Thank you and do subscribe for more.